Hello students, I am Dr. Brinpreet and today I will be talking to you about the concept of market failure and the regulatory mechanism that can be used to correct market failure. First, let's discuss the concept of economic efficiency. The concept of economic efficiency, as explained in the discipline of economics, indicates a state when the goods as well as the factors of production in an economy are put to their maximum use, that is, there is no wastage of their production potential. It may also be referred to as a condition in which the available resources in the economy and the goods or services produced in the country are distributed in such a way that they yield the greatest possible benefits to both the producers as well as the consumers. In terms of the contemporary approach of welfare economics, economic efficiency is explained using the concept of Pareto optimality, which states that a situation in which it is not possible to make anyone better off without making someone worse off by any reallocation of resources and outputs is an indicator of a Pareto optimal or economically efficient situation. This also implies that under an economically efficient situation, if any efforts are made towards making one person better off than before, it will certainly render some other people worse off and reduce their level of welfare. The entire thesis of economic efficiency is based on the idea that resources are usually scarce in relation to the number of wants that have to be met out of them, and that is why economic efficiency can only be attained if it is possible to reduce the wastage of these resources to a minimum, keeping in mind the limited amount of their availability. It may, however, be noted that the state of economic efficiency is largely theoretical because it simply indicates a limit that can only be approached but not exactly reached. The approach of the economists is to measure the gap between this state of pure efficiency and the level at which the economy is operating in reality, and this is what helps them to determine how efficiently the economy is working. In line with the principles of classical economics, in an ideal form of market, the forces of demand and supply are in balance with each other, and in case there is a distortion of this balance because of any external factors, the price of the goods or the factors of production adjusts itself to restore the situation to an equilibrium point. Most economists believe that the ideal market situation in which a balance is maintained and equilibrium is struck is the perfect market condition. That is why welfare economics establishes the fact that Pareto optimality or maximum social welfare can be attained only under a state of perfect competition, because under such a market situation, the government performs only the basic function of maintaining law and order in the economy and enforcing the property rights and the contracts made by the people while engaging in various market transactions. After this, let us now discuss the meaning of market failure. The concept of market failure was developed largely in the middle of the 20th century as an outcome of the evolution of the Keynesian theory of macroeconomics. Further contributions to this theory were made by economists like A.C. Pigou, William Baumol, and Paul Samuelson. All these economists were largely concerned with the interaction between the free market economic mechanism and the maximization of individual and social welfare. The classical school of thought supported the ideology that the concept of invisible hand or free market economy and laissez-faire policy always works in tandem with the principle of Pareto optimality, which means that when the balance between demand and supply is disturbed and a price change occurs in the market, the consumers and producers always make their own decisions whether they should buy or sell the goods or not. The aggregate of these choices further makes the system economically efficient, or what is also called Pareto optimal. It may also be noted that there are three Paretian optimal conditions of economic efficiency, which are efficiency in exchange, optimal allocation of factors, and efficiency in production, which are also termed as general economic efficiency. And these conditions can be achieved only under the state of a perfectly competitive market. In contrast to the criteria of economic efficiency, all such circumstances where the market mechanism does not promote maximum social welfare, or when the markets fail to deliver an optimal result, are called market failure. Under such a state, economic efficiency or Pareto optimism is not achieved, and the welfare generated for the society or the community at large is less than the welfare that could have been created with the available quantity of resources. This can further be explained by saying that when individual consumers or producers end up in a situation where they are worse off than before, simply because they acted in their own rational self-interest, it is called a state of market failure. Since the concept of market efficiency is based on the assumption of rational behavior by the individuals, it may also be noted that market failure does not occur because the individuals behave incorrectly. Rather, it is the outcome of the sum of the individual self-interest decisions being non-aligned with the overall welfare of the society. In a state of market failure, the community either incurs too many costs or receives too few benefits as a result of the reallocation of resources. The outcome of such a pattern of resource distribution is that it deviates from being an economically efficient way of distributing resources. Although it is a well-known fact that the occurrence of market failure is a common phenomena from the point of view of economic analysis, the causes of market failure and the strategies required to offset the problem are what serve as the basis of differentiation in various ideologies of economics. The classical school of thought strongly believes that market failure is not a realistic concept because the concept of invisible hand automatically restores balance in the economy. That is why they do not believe that any intervention strategy can bring about any improvement in the system. This belief, however, was strongly challenged and condemned during major historical events like the Great Depression, because the classical theory could neither provide a satisfactory explanation for the cause of its occurrence nor offer a remedy to the problem. This is what gave rise and popularity to the modern ideology forwarded by John Maynard Keynes called Keynesianism, which dominated up to until the 1970s and subscribed to the need and significance of the government for providing solutions to the problems caused by different types of market failure. There are two different schools of thought on the issue of whether the markets in the real world can help in achieving economic efficiency in terms of the distribution of resources and incomes or not. One approach forwarded by Austrian and American economists strongly supports the idea that markets in the real world are highly competitive, and that is why free market economies can successfully help in achieving economic efficiency, prosperity, and a desirable pattern of distribution of income or resources. According to this ideology, any market irregularities or departure from the perfect competition type of market cannot be corrected or improved by intervention by the government. Contrary to this, a major group of thinkers believes that although perfect competition is purely an idealistic form of market and can be very conveniently used as a benchmark to compare the different market forms that operate in the real world, there are significant failures in the system. They emphasize the fact that any failure of the market can be very efficiently managed and corrected by the involvement of the government, which can thus improve the pattern of resource allocation and income distribution. The likely conditions of market failure are imperfect information that prevails in the real world, negative externalities that prevent the competitive markets from achieving economic efficiency, such as environmental pollution caused by the manufacturing firms, the problem of unemployment caused by the shortage of gainful employment opportunities that can absorb the surplus labor, and the public goods that can be consumed by all the people in the country even without having to pay for such goods or services. For example, law and order or national defense. Now it's time that we discuss what are the causes of market failure. So there are several factors that induce market failure, and the list includes existence of imperfect market conditions like monopoly, the presence of externalities, that is economies and diseconomies in production and consumption, availability and consumption of public goods, market control, and imperfect information about the market. Some of these are discussed in this module further on. The role of externalities and public goods in inducing market failure will be discussed in the next module. First, let's discuss what is the market failure which is caused because of monopoly. The reason why monopoly or as such any other form of imperfect competition is considered a major cause of market failure is the fact that the firm exercising a monopoly wields greater economic power, restricts the volume of output, and indulges in charging a price above the competitive level. This happens more in the case of natural monopolies, where the existence of competition is not very viable and the firm or the manufacturer takes undue advantage of the situation. This further leads to the misallocation of productive resources which are meant for the maximization of social welfare in the economy, and this is what prevents the attainment of economic efficiency in the economy. In technical terminology, the essential condition for achieving a Pareto optimal situation is that the marginal rate of transformation between the two commodities for the community must be equal to the marginal rate of substitution between these goods for the consumer. Now here, the marginal rate of transformation, which is MRT, it refers to the amount of a particular good that has to be foregone in order to produce one more unit of another good. The concept of marginal rate of transformation helps the firm find the opportunity cost of producing an additional unit of a commodity and is based on the assumption of constant resources or constant technology to be used for production. The marginal rate of substitution, which is MRS, on the other hand, is defined as the number of units of a commodity, let's say X, that a consumer will have to sacrifice in order to get one more unit of another commodity, let's assume Y. Assuming that the purchase of one good has to be made by cutting down some quantity of another good because the income of the consumer is constant. This condition for obtaining Pareto optimality is satisfied under perfect competition, but under monopoly or any other form of imperfect competition like monopolistic competition or oligopoly, the condition is not fulfilled. That means the marginal rate of transformation between the goods for the community is not equal to the marginal rate of substitution for the two goods between the consumers. Now, as a result, the condition of the monopoly market does not allow for the optimum allocation of resources, which further becomes a deterrent in the way of attaining maximum social welfare. The primary reason why this happens is the fact that a monopolist does not equate the price of his product with the marginal cost of production. Rather, he restricts the quantity of output below the optimum level and charges a price higher than the marginal cost of production for the commodity. Now, with this, I would like to discuss how imperfect information works as a cause of market failure. The precondition for a perfect competitive market is a free and unregulated exchange of information between the transacting parties in the market, and any inability to do so induces a state of imbalance in the market. This usually happens when the sharing of complete information with the other party is not in the good interest of the first party, and that is why the information is deliberately concealed. That is why imperfect information pertaining to goods and services or their costs or prices amongst buyers and sellers becomes an important cause of market failure. In such a state, the price of the good does not truly indicate the cost of production or the benefits from consumption of the commodity. As a result, the asymmetric nature of information for the buyer will make him pay either more or less for the product without even knowing the real benefits of the commodity. Similarly, the inadequacy of information with the seller would also imply that he would be ready to accept either a higher or a lower price for the commodity without knowing the actual opportunity cost which he might have incurred in the production of that good. Now, such a behavior on the part of either the consumer or the producer will disrupt the market equilibrium and hence will become a cause of market failure. Then, how market failure is caused because of market control? Market control means when either the buyer or the seller possesses the power to influence the demand or supply and hence the prices of the goods or services in the market. As a result of power or market control, the forces of demand and supply do not affect price levels. For example, on the supply side, if a seller is operating under monopoly, monopoly means a single seller, or even under oligopoly where there are few but dominant sellers, then he has the power to raise the price and maximize his profits. Alternatively, the seller in such a powerful position may even try to restrict the volume of output and create an artificial scarcity of goods so as to make more revenue. This leads to a state of market failure. Disequilibrium in the market also occurs when the buyers on the demand side become dominant enough to control the price, especially in a market situation like monopsony, which means a large but a single buyer, or even in case of oligopsony, where there are few buyers who dominate the market. Under such conditions, the buyers may exercise the dominance and control the market to buy goods, factors, or even services at the price they desire, which is different from the competitive market price. Such behavior by the buyer community also causes market failure. Now, what can be the regulatory mechanism to control market failure? Market failure is a potential deterrent to the objective of economic efficiency and maximization of social welfare in an economy, and that is why welfare economists stress the need to mitigate it. Now, since market efficiency may not always be promoted by the markets themselves, it calls for the need to either find a supplement that can assist the market or may replace the market altogether from the responsibility of distributing the resources in the economy. There can be several measures that can be used to eliminate market failure, which I'll be discussing further here. One amongst them would be use of legislative measures to correct market failure. When a market mechanism fails itself in distributing resources in a socially optimal way, then the government can bring about a reform by introducing laws and deterring the perpetrators from indulging in any such activity that prevents the attainment of socially optimal outcomes. Since legislation is a powerful tool that can significantly alter behavior, the government can effectively use it to control unwanted behavior. For example, the fixation of speed limits on the national highways or the imposition of challans or punitive measures to deter the violators, as well as the high penalties on those who sell alcohol in the prohibited areas or states, are effective ways of promoting socially optimal or economically efficient behavior. Then price mechanism also can be used as one of the remedies. Just like legislation, price mechanisms are also believed to be an effective strategy to impact the behavior of buyers as well as sellers. Price mechanism involves all such remedies like levy of taxes, subsidies, etc., which by being a part of the price of the good or service can discourage its production or consumption. If the government intends to reduce or discourage the consumption of harmful goods like cigarettes, tobacco, etc., it can increase the rate of taxes on such goods, thereby discouraging their consumption and reducing the harmful effect on a third party unrelated thereto. On the contrary, in an attempt to support and promote the consumption of a particular good or service, the government can use the tool of a subsidy also, which would further lower the price and hence encourage its consumption among the people in the society. Then there can be private market solutions also as a remedy. So at times there may emerge situations where the solution to the problem of market failure may be found within the private market itself, and the government need not intervene to correct the situation. This further implies that if there is inadequate information or a lack of information amongst the market players, then either the private agencies or the intermediaries can effectively engage in disseminating the relevant information to the transacting parties in the market, or the market players can themselves arrange for a solution in the wake of a deficit of information. For example, a situation involving a borrower and lender may be a case of asymmetric information where the borrower's true financial state may not be known to the lender. So, the lender may charge a high premium risk rate of interest to the borrower so as to offset the disparity in information. Similarly, for the companies that have their shares listed in the stock market, the rating agencies can review and analyze the performance of such companies and broadcast the information for the benefit of those who might be interested in purchasing the shares of those companies. Then there can be a collective action solution as well. Although the government is always perceived to have an edge in finding solutions to the problems caused by market failure, there can be instances when the situation can be efficiently handled by a group of market players themselves. For example, consumers or even producers can coordinate amongst themselves to form cooperatives or clusters to solve majority of the problems that they face individually. An ideal example of this type of solution can be the case of farmer cooperatives, where the farmers form a cooperative fund consisting of a pool of resources that can be made use of by any farmer from the group in case of their need. Similarly, clusters of a particular type of industry can share inputs or the labor pool, having greater access to knowledge, benefit from common innovations, etc. To conclude my entire discussion, I would like to say that the concept of economic efficiency is fundamental to understanding the phenomena of maximization of social welfare and reduction of resource wastage to a minimum. The ideal market situation in which economic efficiency can presumably be maximized is the state of perfect competition, and any situation that prevents the attainment of economic efficiency is termed as market failure. The knowledge about market failure assumes significance also because it leads to inefficient allocation of resources and reduces the level of social welfare below the maximum. The level of below optimum outcomes in the economy indicates economic inefficiencies that are counterproductive to the objective of growth and development in the economy. Such conditions of market failure are caused by various factors like lack of sufficient information, market control over prices, dominance of a seller in the market, externalities, existence of public goods, etc. That is why it is extremely important to find appropriate solution to the problem of market failure. Experience of the market situation has revealed that regulatory mechanisms like government intervention in the form of enactment and enforcement of laws can deter economically inefficient behavior. The use of price-related instruments such as taxes or subsidies, or even the concerted efforts of the private agents operating in the market can go a long way in efficaciously resolving the issue of market failure. So that's all for this topic from my side today. Thank you so much.